Blood at the root. A racial cleansing in America. Yeah. It's a book by Patrick Phillips. This book deals with how the residents of Forsyth County, Georgia, first illegally and brutally drove out the entire Cherokee population. Years later, around 1912, drove out almost the entire black population. Or at least the same people that were reclassified. The book, of course, primarily deals with the latter, blacks, but I felt it's a good point that I mentioned the Cherokee. Yeah, it's a great point, man. We're talking Forsyth County, Alabama. Racial cleansing, huh? What I'm about to try right now is going to bring a whole new definition to whitewashing. In 1912, white mobs set fire to black churches, black-owned businesses. Eventually, the entire black population of Forsyth County was driven out. Says Blood at the Root, author Patrick Phillips. This is NPR.org. This is Fresh Air. I'm Terry Gross. One of the nightmarish racist chapters of history, American history, is documented in a new book by my guest Patrick Phillips. It's about what happened in Forsyth County, Georgia in 1912 when white mobs terrorized and drove out the entire black population, about 1,100 people. This was the white response to two incidences. The alleged rape of a white woman by a black man and the rape and beating of a young white woman who died of her injuries. A lynch mob attacked and hanged one black suspect. Two teenagers were hanged in public executions following a short trial. So they're saying they're having short trials, man. These people ain't getting no justice, man. They just getting picked out and crucified. Picked out and crucified. Now, what happened to this town in Georgia? One of Georgia's most well-known lakes has a murky history. From the GeorgiaStateSignal.com. Yeah, these damn dams did more than just stop the water flow. They actually popped off the water flow too. It's like a double-edged sword. Oh yeah, we're going to build a dam to hold the water back. All these crazy reasons, mundane reasons they have for setting all these dams up. How many dams are there? But it seems like one of the main reasons for these dams is to exterminate an entire Naga city. Now this is in Georgia. Lake Lanier is a popular weekend destination suitable for fishing, boating, and suntanning, but its existence lends itself to a history of state-sanctioned theft despite many instances of accidental drownings, the lake remains a top vacation spot for locals. Named after Sidney Lanier, a poet and Confederate Army veteran, Lake Lanier residence in North Georgia between Gainesville and Beaufort. Before its completion in 1956, beneath Lake Lanier were several small towns. Oh, you want to talk about whitewashing? Beneath Lake Lanier were several small towns. Not just one town, several, man, occupied by farmers. One of the more well-known towns absorbed by the lake is Oscarville. And love to the sister Amber Ruffin. I tried to drop her drop. They banned it, you know, in all countries, all continents. It was banned, so I had to, you know, take my time with it and, watch it and take some notes and just kind of present, really, just, I'm going to link the link below so she can drop her drop. But I just want to kind of present, something that you can trace, a bit of very difficult stuff to talk about. When you talk about entire towns and cities over and over again being flooded and put underwater. Yeah, you talk about Atlantis, you talk about all these things, but Naga, this is what they do. This is what they did to all the pockets of towns. Thousands over here, thousands over here. It all adds up. How many damn dams are there? This is going to make you look at these lakes very differently. Anything man-made, they call them ghost lakes because within those lakes are ghost towns that were once Naga towns. I'm talking about Naga Ville. We started this whole thing talking about this Forsyth County, Georgia, right? Now, what does this Forsyth have to do with this other Georgian situation of Oscarville? Yeah, man. It's all the same thing. Let's go. What happened in Forsyth? They drove the Cherokee out. Then the blacks out, right? So the blacks just took over the whole Cherokee town? Or are these Nagas the same Nagas that are the Cherokee or we the people? Are these the Chickamauga? Are they flooding Chickamauga cities? Refuge cities, because these aren't their original cities. Oh no, Tartaria wants to claim these beautiful buildings. But all these cities, are like refugee cities damn near, as they were moving from place to place, setting up shop type of cities. And they were thriving. They didn't need no invaders. They didn't need nobody else. Not just like Rosewood, there were many of these, man. When anybody looks at the Negro community today, walking through the hoods, walking through the ghetto, and they're like, why don't they pull themselves up and do something with themselves? Every time we built, we were whitewashed by the WIGHT and these damn dams. Yeah, hey, shout out to, I can't play it, but I'm gonna link this video. Amber Ruffin, man, she's dropping all these cities and stuff. So I just, wrote them down and started looking into a few. I just wanted to share a few. I want you to do your own investigation and look into these lakes around you and see if it has any connection with, Negro cities that were flooded black towns, right? To make lakes. So I'll leave this link below. AHOP to my 500 code keeping Nagas. We did it again. Oh man, we're closing in hot on a $10,000 goal. And this is a goal that I know we're going to continue to exceed. I'm excited to show you, what Nagas can do, what I'm saying, with a little bit of belief and a little bit of faith. And we truly thank you, the Wada, to our contributors for having faith in us. And, just watch us work, watch us pop off, you know what I'm saying? So, hey, the water for what you've done so far, my Naga, in such a short period of time. We put the call out. My Nagas jumped on it right away, not just here, but also on the Cash App. AHOP my Naga Dizzle. AHOP all my Nagas dropping on the Cash App and the PayPal as well. We've been building my Nagas. So, hey, watch us work. Watch us pop off. All praise to HaWah. Halal HaWah for you. Wes Crockett. Zenleen Perry coming in hot. We truly appreciate you as well. It's all happening right in our Facebook. Please click the link below to continue to support our fence. Rock with the Nagas. Rock with, all the beautiful sisters, all the beautiful brothers right here. You know what I'm saying? Ivory American cares about you, our children, and our future productivity. Kajeli Holmes been rocking the dropping, giving that steady water since day one. We appreciate you, Kajeli Holmes, with all our heartbone, man. Eric Mays, you already know he popping off, man. AHOP, Wes Crockett, Zenleen Perry, Kajeli Holmes, all the contributors making this happen for us, man, because we see that this is nothing new for us. Building a fence should be nothing new for us. How many cities have we built, my Naga? This is what we're here to talk about. This wasn't no natural occurrence. It wasn't like we build and then naturally this happens, and naturally they try to make it sometimes seem like, oh, it was a natural rise in the water, just like Katrina, right? Just like Katrina. Oh, they could have warned them about the dams and the yada yada, about the levees. It was deeper than that. It was deeper than not being warned about the levees. They're doing the same thing, flooding out cities. Those cities have never recovered to this day. Killing off thriving Naga neighborhoods, Naga communities, Naga towns. This is only our beginning. Building this chet up, building this wall up, building this fence up. Because like I said, my Naga, like I keep saying, my Naga, when it comes to the flow, all you do is follow the paleo. The paleo will reveal the flow. And it's been revealed, to us, what I'm saying, as we are hitting mark by mark, man. It all started with that strong power, right? That frequency that's leading us, going into our family, our house, causing a gathering, right? We start walking, we start tribing up. I'm just going over the Picto Paleo alphabet. The Aleph, the Bet, the Gam, right? Strong power, family, gathering, right? You start to gather, you walk through a door, an entrance, a portal, a vortex, a door, and who greets you? Ha, mama, not no man. That's mama. Mama got the breath. Mama got the revelation. Mama got that look, right? You see the sound right here? Ah, AH is ah or ah. What? It's a breath. Reveal. Ah, aha, right? So you get mama when you get through that door, my Naga. Just follow the flow. Strong power go into the family, start to walk, start to gather. We tribe up, go through a door together. A vortex, we spiral up. Mama gives us the breath. Our father gives us the security. It's a tent peg, right? That peg goes into Mother Earth, right? Masculine, feminine. Inhale. Feminine. Exhale. Wow. Masculine. Then you get your food, your cutoff day, your seventh letter is your seventh day, your Zan, your Zion. Zan is what we say. You get that food, that nourishment after you got your mother, father, framer, shaper. It's all in the paleo. Can't make this up. And what comes next? This is where we at, my Naga. A tent wall. Wall. Outside. Divide. Half. Help us build our wall. I can't make this up. We started tribing up. We moved through a door. We got the framer, shaper. Wow. We KTC. We got our Zan, our food, our nourishment. We keep our cutoff day. And then we build our wall. Halal HaWah. You don't get no wall without the wall. That tent wall is a division. Either you outside or you inside. But this is a division. Blue, purple, red, white linen, gold thread. It's a wall of protection. And then we continue. You get into the containing of it all. What's surrounding us? What's that mud? What's that earth? It means you building, my Naga, in that mud. You building for Joy World. You tapping into that mud, my Naga. You building your well, you tapping in, right? Let's go. And then to the yard, right? The hand, the work. You putting that work in. Oh, man. My Naga, you putting that hand in, that work, and you throwing, whatever you need to throw. Throw off you or throw it into the right pile to continue to work, to worship what? Whatever you worshiping, you better have already got it before you got your Zan. Before you got your food, you better already got that power. You came through the door, you already had that strong power. You were already being led by a strong power. But you have to walk. You got to gather. Why can't do this gom for you? You got to walk through that door. Hawah's not going to do it for you. But when you do, that same strong power that popped you off is going to be there to greet you. Ama, Abba. So you can get your rest, your Zan, your food. You can cut off yourself from the hijack. You can get nourished by the frequency of Hawah. Wah. Then you build your wall. Then you got a wall. You got a division. You put something outside of that and something inside of that. Because inside of it, it is what? Contain. Yeah. You better have, a wall of protection. You better be surrounded and contained. And you better be getting it out that mud, man. To put that work in. My Naga. Hey, what's going to be open after that? Open palm? Oh, boy. What's going to be tamed? What are you going to be allowed to bend? I mean, this is beautiful because then we're talking about authority, my Naga. Are you getting your authority back? Are you getting your Naga staff, your shepherd staff? Love to kokma shaloma. If you want your Nagaville Naga scepter, holla at Aqua Kokma Shaloma, man. I love my Naga scepter, man. Let me tell you, it's like it was made for me, built for me, man. You know what I mean? So tap into the Aqua. You can hit us up, music at 432thedrop.com. Music at 432thedrop.com to holler at Aqua Coke Mach so she can make you your Naga staff, because you need to be taught, right? But now you're also doing the teaching. You also got the authority. Yeah. You're carrying the yoke, my Naga. You have something binding. What are you bound into? Exodus 20 got us in code. We just talking about building our wall. Halal HaWah for all my Nagas helping us build our wall. A wall of protection. All my Nagas here helping us build that wall of protection, because you are a part of something very special. You know, as you see, all praise for HaWah, we're going to continue to do our part, and we're going to see how it all lines up. With that beautiful picto paleo, oh man, that's giving us all the validation we need, because it's only about the beginning. And this is the language of creation. This is the language of how the ingredients come together, man, in order. We want to build so that it can never be destroyed. We want to build so it can never be flooded again. We in code. And that's the one thing I can say, you know, many of these things have in common when you read about these Negro cities, is you keep hearing about these churches, and you already know what's going on in them churches. You already know what they was bringing into them churches, man. You know what I mean? And we know that, you know, we can't put the blame on nobody but ourselves, man. It hurts, you know, because we can't really blame nobody but ourselves at the end of the day. Our code protects us. Our breath of security, that WA, that security, that's in code. We start bringing other powers in. It's all don't apply to you no more. You out of code. You ain't building. You ain't going through no door. You ain't gathering. Nope. You running for your life now, man. You too busy. You too busy to get that zon. You too busy to get that food, that nourishment. You too busy to cut off that hijack. So I'm glad we bouncing back, man, because, you know, it's a story that you can find in a lot. You know, this was not unique to Forsyth, that there was an attempt at racial cleansing. What's really unique to Forsyth is that it's a place where it succeeded, and that effort was successful for, you know, almost 100 years. It was still, quote unquote, white country. When I was growing up there in the 70s and 80s, you know, this little interview going back and forth at npr.org. And it really, in some ways, I mean, in the book, there's a flashpoint in 1912. But in other ways, I find the origins of what happened in 1912 much, much earlier in the county, going all the way back to the Cherokee removals in the 1830s. Because that also occurred in Forsyth. Come on, man. Naga, what is this? What do the Negro, you know, removals have to do with the Cherokee removals? Why are they in the same sacred ground, you know? Unless they're the same people. You're not talking about a lot of time. You're talking about 1830s to 1912. It's not a long time for generations, you know, living in a town, in a city that they built. We're just talking Forsyth, Georgia. Check this out. Back to GeorgiaStateSignal.com. One of the more well-known towns absorbed by the lake is Oscarville. So now you're talking about Lake Lanier. This is what was Forsyth, my Naga. You know, this is what was Oscarville, my Naga. Another Naga city. One of the more well-known towns absorbed by the lake is Oscarville. It says Lake Lanier resides in North Georgia between Gainesville and Beaufort. Although portions of old Oscarville, Georgia still live on the map, the original city survived through lore, written and oral history did not give the other towns purchased by the state the same grace, and they remain unknown. So Oscarville is the only one you know, but there's others that remain unknown within Lake Lanier. These are cities. These are cities in Lake Lanier. No, man, we got a few more. I'm just going to go. And I want you to write some of this down and look them up yourself and see what you got, man. Oscarville, located north of the perimeter in Forsyth County, began as a small rural town in 1870. Small rural town. But they said that the Cherokee were there in the 1830s, and this is 1870. So 50 years later from the Cherokee removal, it's just a small rural town of Negroes. In 50 years, the Negroes took over the town. The town was an agricultural marvel because local farmers fought off the boll weevil infestation that tormented Georgia from 1950 to 1970s and survived the Great Depression. So they had it popping off. They had the agriculture popping off. Over 2 years, Newport Dam Development kept in touch with the court system to ensure the state could seize land from Oscarville residents. They asked all but 5 residents to forfeit their land to build the Beaufort Dam. The $1 billion project took 4 years to complete. They asked all but 5 residents to forfeit their land to build their dam, man. Only 5 people got to stay. You talking about gentrify? Imagine you got your land, you built your home. Someone says, I want to build a dam right here, just because I want to. And that dam is going to flood out all your shit. After Lake Lanier first filled in 1959, old Oscarville became virtually non-existent, solely living through old newspaper articles and ghost stories. Patrick Phillips' 2016 book, Blood at the Root, A Racial Cleansing in America, sparked a newfound interest in the long-forgotten Oscarville. Phillips detailed the 1912 lynchings and subsequent riots that began with the sexual assault and murder of a young white, see, they didn't even say alleged, you know what I'm saying, young white woman named Sleety Mae Crow. So Sleety Mae Crow popped all this shit off, right? Out of fear, roughly 1,100 black residents fled Oscarville in Forsyth County to escape racialized violence. Despite the town's agricultural accomplishments, this is the story that defines Oscarville. With whispers of ghosts and curses, Georgians find Lake Lanier's position above several old towns to blame for many visitors' death. Nearly 200 people have died at Lake Lanier since 1994. So they're saying, man, so many, Nagas and, so much Naga violence happened right there. Yeah, y'all can't just come vacation here, man, and scuba dive. Nah, man. Nah, man. It ain't going down. Not Lake Lanier, man. He said several towns are under that big-ass lake. Now think about all these lakes, like Lake Mead and Navajo Lake and all these lakes. Think about all these Naga cities underneath these lakes, man. Yeah. Let's get this clip from, let's see what this is. I got a couple clips up. I want them to explain. I think, we got a couple fam. Let's go. They're going to break it down too. I think this is one of my bros right here. He going to break it down about Oscarville, Georgia. And it's a 6-minute joint right here. We're going to check this out first and get some more insight onto this, man. And a lot of you listening, whatever we get from here, apply it to all this other recon we're about to get with these other Naga cities, buried, drowned, flooded. This is what they've done to our history. This is what they've done. And then they say, oh, you're from Africa. But imagine if they let them cities rock. It'd be like, yo, like all these cities. I couldn't have just got off a boat. They couldn't have said, oh, this city started in 1879. You don't know nothing about this city. All they could say is they found a bunch of Nagas in their Naga cities. And you flooded out our history because you didn't even want anyone to see the type of stuff we were building, the technology we were using. You think these were just horse and carriage cities? They try to make it look like that in all these pictures. But now we can ask questions because we don't know the truth. It's underwater. We could speculate. We could surf the wave. Let's get a few clips. This is Claudine Lemons, man. Love to the bro. Let's go. And may know about the legend of Forsyth County in 1912 and how 1,100 residents, black residents, were ran out of the county after 2 women were raped. But let me tell you about Oscarville, Georgia. Oscarville, Georgia was a town that was mainly black owned. Most of the residents that were ran out of Forsyth County, they took residence in Oscarville, Georgia. Now, Oscarville, Georgia was where the supposed rape of the white woman, May Crow, went down. And quickly, look how big Lake Lanier is. So just a Google map joint. Just imagine the towns that are underneath this water. All on purpose, my nigga. They built the damn dam to pop off the water. And this is going to be repeated and repeated and repeated. It's the play they run. By what was described as 4 black teenagers.
According to various accounts, 18-year-old May Crow is walking alone in the woods when she's struck repeatedly with a rock, reportedly sexually assaulted and left for dead.
She was hit so hard that her eye was dislodged from her skull and left hanging.
She's always kind of center.
Debbie Vermont is May Crow's grandniece. She keeps a portrait of her in her living room.
My grandmother always said that she was known to be the prettiest girl in Forsyth County.
Word of the attack spread quickly. Suspicion soon fell on a group of young African Americans. Local media condemned them, describing the trio as, quote, the fiendish, low-browed, gorilla-type Negroes.
Wow. Now, this is this woman's testimony, right? Now, the real attackers, they could have been anybody, right? They could have been her ex-boyfriend, jealous, something, something, something. She could have been a part of a gang. Who knows? But, of course, they blame it on the Naga, right? And they don't waste no time. And they start lynching everybody, calling you gorilla type of Negro. Let's go, man.
Enraged by the news, a mob immediately lynched one man. You believe that some of your distant relatives took part in this lynching?
Yes, some of them I am fairly sure they did. These were the most aggrieved and grieving, who wanted justice for what had happened to their loved one.
2 others, both teenagers, were arrested, tried, and convicted. A prominent doctor volunteered land near his home for the court-ordered execution. An estimated 5,000 people showed up to watch the hangings.
Well, my grandmother would have been 18 months old, sitting in her mother's lap.
Watching someone being lynched.
Right.
So do you believe that those three people, the two teenagers, the one young man in his 20s, do you believe they were innocent?
I do believe they were innocent. I do believe. And I believe it's a huge cold case that's still sitting there to try to figure out exactly who did it.
Now, this particular town had houses, stores, barns, probably churches, and a racetrack. The location of the town is now located under the popular Lake Lanier. If you look up Oscarville, Georgia, in your Google search, it will pull up Lake Lanier. Now, we already know that Lake Lanier is a man-made lake that was made to make sure that Georgia was always replenished with water. It was dammed up and it was flooded. But let me give you a little bit more information about it. As they started to run out these 1,100 residents of Oscarville, what they didn't tell you was that some of the residents actually decided to stay and not get ran out of town by this white militia. The ones that did decide to stay hid and camped out in different wooded areas of the Oscarville area.
11 people have died in drowning or boating accidents on Lake Lanier this year, including a father and son. Charged with responding to all of those calls are divers with the local fire department.
The 11 Alive's Caitlin Ross shows you what they deal with under the surface of Lake Lanier. It's dangerous and deadly environment.
You get yourself in trouble really quickly.
Lanier was built in the 1950s to provide drinking water and hydroelectric power for Atlanta. Recreation was an afterthought.
As they were building the lake, they raised the water level up to a certain point well below what we know of today as full pool, and then stopped filling the water.
From there, construction crews floated on the lake, cutting off the trees about halfway.
So today, those stumps are still there, and they're tall because this was forest land and farmland.
Also beneath the surface, old homes, barns, even a racetrack, which famously surfaced during the 2007 drought. You could see the tops of the stands, a haunted memory, waiting for spectators to show up for the next race.
They blew the old bridges in place, so you have concrete, rebar.
The divers work in teams, one person in the water.
Naga, this is Nagaville. These are Nagas racing their horses, doing their thizzle. Living in towns, secure. They're not prepared to fight water. They're prepared to fight whatever militias. They ain't getting messed with. They didn't say the white man came with their pistols on them, did they? No. What the white man do? Built a damn dam, used politics, used trickery, and flooded several towns underneath Lake, now known as Lake Lanier. They didn't come head up. They didn't come to scrap. These Nagas was too unified, too powerful for that. They just flooded them out.
In the water and the other on the shore. They're tethered together by a rope and communicate by tugs on the rope. Divers say they never know what they're going to find.
So now, when you go to Lake Lanier, if you were to dive under Lake Lanier, you would find a barn, houses, probably even churches, a bridge, and a racetrack. This is the history that Georgia has been hiding from us for so many years, and now it's starting to come out. So please be careful going for a swim in Lake Lanier, because there is a doomed history up under that lake. And as the woman had already said, 11 people have died this year, and many people have died since the lake was dammed up and flooded. If y'all would like me to...
Hey, man, we appreciate you, Brother Claudine, man, for that. And again, man, you know what I'm saying? You know, just to let the hijacks know, you know, this is fair use. We're just digging on some things, you know. Disclaimer, copyright disclaimer, section 107, Copyright Act 1976. Criticism, comment, news reporting, teachers, scholarship, education, and research. All right, back, man. Fair use in your caboose, bro. This is a complimentary drop. Digging on the same thing here. Like I said, this gives a whole new definition to whitewash. My Naga, This is called the racial cleansing of Forsyth County. It's about 3 minutes. Let's go.
A marker on the courthouse square in Cumming will soon remind people of the 1912 lynching of a black man.
It was the beginning of a racial cleansing that resulted in the expulsion of more than 1,000 black residents from Forsyth County. Brendan Keefe shows you how the richest county in Georgia is now facing its racist past.
It is hidden in a narrow patch of forest between rows of $500,000 homes. Even looking straight down, nothing betrays the mystery.
Everything you're looking is where Nagas were all congregated, man. Now they're $1 million homes, right? But this is all Nagaville. Just like Malibu. Just like Manhattan Beach out here in California. You got, Negro families that are suing to get their stuff, right? So, it's obvious, but you wouldn't have a right to it unless, my Naga, you knew that you were indigenous here. This is just a trace of what was, man. Imagine what this was. Imagine it. We're still talking Forsyth County, Georgia.
It is hidden in a narrow patch of forest between rows of $500,000 homes. Even looking straight down, nothing betrays the mystery of what lies beneath. These tombstones are all that's left of the old Black Baptist Church at Stony Point. Look closely at the dates. Why do they all end before 1912? This is not evidence of promises broken, but of loved ones kept away, because the men, women, and children buried here were the only black residents of Forsyth County, Georgia, for nearly all of the 20th century.
All of the Negro people had to leave. There was knocking on the door, and they were told to get out.
Elon Osby heard the story directly from her own mother, Willie Mae Bagley, just a 2-year-old back in 1912 when the Night Riders came to their home and so many others in Forsyth County.
Can you imagine the fear that they would have felt?
William and Ida Bagley paid taxes on 60 acres they owned in 1912. We could find no record of any sale in the county courthouse except those of white men later selling parcels of the Bagleys' land to one another.
Man. They had 60 acres. They never sold it. It was stolen. And then the records pick up with these jabronis selling parcels of stolen land the same way they do today. I mean, I read a great comment, a sister asked, when are we going to be able to stop having to buy stolen land, stolen property, and just, be able to just go and just take our stuff back, man, because this is kind of crazy to have to buy parcels of stolen land. Oh, I got 5 acres here, 2 acres here, but who's selling this? Whoever's the thieves are selling this shit. They stole it from our people. We got to buy something that's been stolen back? Nah, man, it don't feel right? I feel like we should just be able to take our land back, right? That's what we're gearing up to. Because HaWah has promised land for the tribes of Israel.
The 1910 census showed the Bagleys among 1,098 black residents of the county, a tenth of the total population. By 1920, nearly every last one of them was gone.
There are these long stretches where decade after decade, the black population of Forsyth County is zero.
Historical photos show only white faces after 1912. So what happened that year? Thousands turned out to celebrate the public.
Look at this shit. Like parasites in the body. Like parasites in the body. Look, a picture is worth 1,000 words, all right? You don't see no Negro picture taking over white civilization, all right? You don't see no Negroes in suits hanging a bunch of white people just taking their stuff and then taking pictures in front of homes that they did not build. And we're going to see some, because some of these places, when you look them up, just like you said, all you see is the white people in these pictures. Like, where's all the Nagas at? All right, they're gone now. And all this infrastructure, even the simple homes like this, they just moved into these, man. They just came and took over the town. Like parasites in the body.
Like hanging of 2 black teenagers convicted in a single day by an all-white jury of raping and murdering a white girl named May Crow. The other black suspect had already been lynched right here on the coming court.
And her relative just said that these people were innocent. So all these people showing up in suits, they showed up to see innocent Nagas die. They showed up to see innocent Nagas die. It's kind of interesting right here. Look like a couple Nagas right here, huh? Maybe they were forced to be there, man. Hey, man, they showing up to see the innocent Nagas hanged to death.
Jury of raping and murdering a white girl named May Crow. The other black suspect had already been lynched right here on the coming courthouse square.
The lynching of Rob Edwards involved a very large crowd gathering outside the jail, dragging him out of the jail, beating him with crowbars, dragging his body around town behind a wagon, and then eventually his corpse is hoisted to on a telegraph pole, and everyone in the crowd takes turns shooting into his body.
Just across from the spot where Rob Edwards was lynched, Lady Justice faces history wearing her blindfold. But
yeah, remember, the victim's own relative just said that all 3 of them were innocent. So all that dragging him around, I mean, hear it again, my Naga. Yeah, it's kind of uncomfortable, huh? Hear it again, no. So you see how they treat our people. And why are we popping off?
From the spot where Rob Edwards was lynched, Lady Justice faces history wearing her blindfold. But soil from the square has been collected in a jar, and the name Rob Edwards will soon join the lynching memorial at the Equal Justice Initiative.
The Community Remembrance Project of Forsyth County really got this rolling and worked with the Equal Justice Initiative. So they're going to put up a marker that will memorialize Rob Edwards and tell the story of that lynching. And that's going to be on the spot where he was lynched, which is something I never thought I would live to see.
Wearing her blindfold, but the other black suspect had already been lynched right here on the coming courthouse square.
The lynching of Rob Edwards involved a very large crowd gathering outside the jail, dragging him out of the jail, beating him with crowbars, dragging his body around town behind a wagon, and then eventually his corpse is hoisted to on a telegraph pole, and everyone in the crowd takes turns shooting into his body.
Just across from the...
I mean, who acts like this? Who does this? You're dealing with straight evil, wicked whites. WIGHT.
Spot where Rob Edwards was lynched, Lady Justice faces history wearing her blindfold. But soil from the square has been collected in a jar.
We'll memorialize Rob Edwards and tell the story of that lynching. And that's going to be on the spot where he was lynched, which is something I never thought I would live to see.
This with the marker is a first step.
There are already several hidden markers to the black community that once thrived here, now surrounded by new neighborhoods that are increasingly diverse. Some of those new residents are buying homes here, on the land Elon's grandparents once owned. The old Bagley place is now among the most valuable real estate in Metro Atlanta.
Wow. I wonder why. all of our beautiful neighborhoods now become theirs, right? Let's keep going. Let's talk Lake Martin. Let's keep going, man. Let's keep going. Let's talk Lake Martin. Let's talk Alabama. Let's talk Kawaliga, Alabama, man. Kawaliga.
I'm so excited about my trip to Lake Martin, Alabama. Okay.
Hey, shout out to the sister, Decolonize. All right, we're going to belly flop and see what she got to say going down in Lake Martin, Alabama.
Repeat yourself ain't really a mystery, so we know our stuff, so we...
Let's get
Downtown. Ghost cities. What traces of ghost cities lie beneath Alabama's man-made lakes? Echoes across the waters? Dozens of small communities submerged? Benson, a community of mostly black residents founded in 1895 by Will Benson? Interesting. Lake Martin, Alabama is just a tourist destination. That is colonized. A primary source can become a treasure map. This is what William E. Benson left us when the world almost forgot him and the waters swallowed parts of Benson. An artifact rose from those same waters. It told us of a black town that thrived in the middle of Alabama, a cousin to Black Wall Street, Rosewood, Eatonville, and more. From schoolyard to church bell to patter of small feet galore, they were black excellence dipped in southern swag, and most was mighty fine. Before civil rights and black arts, there was another time that was divine. Wow, so this is it. The Kawaliga School for Colored Youth. And look at that, William Benson, Secretary and Treasurer, August 22nd, 1912. This will tell me all that I need to know. That proposal is a primary source. It's an immediate first-hand account of a topic from people who had a direct connection to it. You see, a letter brought me here. A letter is also a primary source. William E. Benson wrote letters asking for funding for his school, the Kawaliga School, and that led me to this fascinating report. Here's what I now know about Kawaliga and the Bensons. While Kawaliga's legacy continued with William E. Benson, he wasn't its founder. Kawaliga, Alabama was started by William's dad, John J. Benson. In the 1860s, John J. Benson was an enslaved person near Kawaliga Creek. He lived on a plantation. He was freed as a teenager, and he headed to Florida to find a sister who he was separated from during slavery. Many families were separated during slavery. You see, separating families is a part of American history. Like John Benson's sister, enslaved African children were separated from their families. Native American children were routinely taken from their homes by force and sent to barbaric Indian schools, where their names and culture were stripped away. Many of these children did not see their families again. Thousands of...
What do you think these Indian schools are now just called public schools, man? They just changed it from Indian schools to public schools. It's the same format. What are they doing? Huh? Where their names and culture are stripped away. They indoctrinate our children into their system. Let's go.
Of children that haven't been charged today are in juvenile prisons because they can't afford bail. And immigrant children are being held in detention camps away from their families right now. After John rescued his sister, he worked in the coal mines and made his way back to Alabama and saved $100. Hold on, let's get some context. $100 in 1880 is worth, let's see, $2,551.76 today. Oh boy, that's a lot of money. Let's get back to it. John purchased 160 acres of the plantation he was once enslaved on.
Whoa. So first you saw Nagas that owned 60 acres that got stolen from them. Now their parcels are being sold. He got 160. Built him a city. Naga, we the same Nagas because we, have the same flow. We just needed a course correction. We needed to keep the code. Let's go.
He built homes, farms, and purchased more land for his people. By 1873, John had a town over 3,000 acres of land, grew cotton, corn, and sugarcane on many farms, opened mills that supplied oak, hickory, pine, and timber, and had a wife and 3 children.
You think about all the Nagas that he was able to break bread with, employ, they were able to work. You know what I'm saying? They got banks, they got everything popping off. They got culture popping off. He has a city, he got a town for Nagaville. What do they do?
One of those children was William E. Benson. John sent William away to school, and when he graduated from Howard College in 1895, now Stanford University, he came back home with a plan. He learned photography in school and took pictures of his father's community and used those pictures to travel across the country and get funds to expand the one-room school cabin his father had started as the Kawalaja School, soon to be the Kawalaja Institute. As a way to raise more funds, he started the first Black-owned railroad. Right there in Kawalaja, Alabama.
Wow.
They transported goods from their mills, and they also transported people. And how do I know all of this? Because of good old primary sources, especially the 17th annual report of the Kawalaja School. This proposal told me a lot of what I needed to know. Here's what we've learned so far. John J. Benson was once an enslaved man that was freed. When he was freed, he rescued his sister in Florida, and they made their way back to Alabama. Once he made his way back to Alabama, he began to work in the coal mines and saved $100. John used the $100 to purchase land, homes, and farms. Soon he owned thousands of acres of land, sold homes to Black people, and formed a community. He also started a family. And then there's William E. Benson. William Benson, John's son, came home from school and helped his father expand his business. He started the Dixieland Company and expanded the Kawalaja School. Oh, and don't forget, he also started the railroad, too. You know, some of our textbooks, some of our sources, they're not always correct. Sometimes we miss a few things or we come across inaccurate information. You can interrogate your sources, question your sources, primary sources and secondary sources. But sometimes I feel like secondary sources need more questioning. You know? Who wrote it? What was the purpose? Did they get all of the facts right? And how can I verify if they got all of the facts right? Maybe I need the subject or someone who was around at that time to tell me more information. And I'll probably find that information in a primary source. Here's some new information that you should know. William Benson was asking for funds to outfit an industrial building for which $10,000 was needed. I pulled this from a primary source, a newspaper called the Hartford Courant in 1900. And also, there are other newspaper articles that suggest that he was looking for an architect. And he found one. His name was William Gray Purcell. A secondary source discusses this hiring. It says that Purcell made his way to Kawalaja, Alabama, and was hired by William Benson, an African-American farmer, on the recommendation of his grandfather, who was a friend of Booker T. Washington. Benson, who had once been a slave, owned several thousand acres of land, and he wanted to build an ideal farm community for himself and others. Here is the sketch that William Gray Purcell designed for William Benson. Just to be clear, a secondary source is information that was created later by someone who did not experience firsthand or participate in the events or conditions you are researching. Based on the information we know about William Benson, this secondary source is mostly inaccurate. It's wrong. William Benson was not a farmer. He was never enslaved. In 1900, he graduated from school and came back home to Kawalaja to help his father expand their community. In 1900, William was the president of Dixieland Company and seeking an architect. And William Gray Purcell became that architect and drew sketches, but his designs were not used. Do you remember when I said we could reclaim Black history? That's what we just did. We set the record straight. We corrected a source. We interrogated it with information that we come across, reading our primary sources. We just reclaimed Black history. Okay, remember when I said William was a photographer too? Well, there are a lot of pictures of Cow Elijah in the proposal we found. And now, I'd like to show you some of them. Enjoy. Here is Cow Elijah in all of its glory. Look at the school. Cow Elijah.
Naga. That's what I'm talking about. These are those homes on the plantations you be seeing, right? Built by Nagas. Not Nagas slaves, but Nagas. Nagas that own the land. Nagas had architectures, man. Architects, man. You know what I'm saying? All these are Nagas. So by the time you see these pictures that we're about to see for the dismount as we, check on a few other spots underwater, a lot of them gonna show white folk in front of all these things, man, but they just came in and took over the city. You got Nagas in the window. This is Nagaville.
Elijah Industrial and Academic Institute. Students standing in the front of the building.
Wow.
Here are Cow Elijah's residents gathering for quarterly meeting day at the community church. Here is a child of Cow Elijah, a small girl who likely looks over her siblings. Here is a man affectionately named Uncle Sam, one of the pioneers of Cow Elijah. Had 4 buildings, dormitories for students, orchards for students to learn how to grow things, kitchens and shops where students learn home economics.
My goodness, imagine if you can go to this school today. You're learning how to grow, you're learning economics, you got the banks, you got all this. It's all happening. Don't tell us our dream is too big, my Naga. We've been dreaming, we've been rebuilding. This is after they got pushed out of where they were before. This took one Naga to have a heartbone and buy this land, right? And continue to expand the land. We can't make this up. Look how beautiful the Naga's built, man. This is just light work to the Naga.
Carpentry, science labs, a glee club, photography, its own chapter of the YWCA and YMCA, and a large library. After William Benson's death in 1915 and the eventual closing of the school, Benson was destroyed to make way for a reservoir and tourist destination called Lake Martin.
So now all that is under this lake. So they could build a reservoir, my Naga. Do you believe the hype? Do you believe the story? Or did they bury Naga history?
But John J. Benson and William E. Benson's legacy lives on today. Connoisseurs of civil engineering, philanthropy, community organizing, and so much more.
Wow. Yeah, man. Let's go. Love to the sister, decolonize, man. I make sure I keep up with her. Make sure I keep up with her, man. Doing great work, man. I like how she broke down the sources, primary sources, secondary sources. And we're going to make sure all these links you see here are going to be in the drop chatter box at 432thedrop.com. Password is 1234 to get through the door. Come hijack free. Let's go. All right. Let's look at a few more, y'all. I'm going to blaze through these. I'm going to leave all these links for you in the drop chatter. Drowned towns with traces of ghost cities lie beneath Alabama's man-made lakes, right? We just talked about Lake Martin or Oscarville. Talked about Benson. Let's go. What they call Cowaliga or Cowalija. I mean, talking about Alabama's man-made lakes, right? Man-made. Let's look at a few. You got Eastonville, submerged when Lake Martin was created in 1964. Benson, flooded in 1926 when Martin Dam completed on the Tallapoosa River to form Lake Martin. The town of Susanna, right? We see a lot of Sousa drop in the Prest investigation. Under the lake. Let's go. Man, more than 900 bodies were moved from cemeteries before the land was submerged. The town once included a gold mine, a school. Man, everything, right? You got Waterloo. Hey, man. A tiny patch of Lauderdale County that takes up less than 1 square mile is still home to 200 people for more than 100 years. From its beginnings in 1811, Waterloo was a small but bustling town on the banks of Tennessee River, another Naga town. Submerged when Pickwick Landing Dam was built, so it's another dam. My Naga, this is all in Alabama. These are 2 separate dams in Alabama. You got the Pickwick Dam, you got the Martin Dam, then you got the city of Riverton underwater. Small Colbert County town flooded when Pickwick Dam was built, 1938. You got Irma, another community beneath Lake Martin. According to scuba divers, a church was submerged in a very deep part of the lake and is marked on maps. You got Bainbridge, submerged when Wilson Dam, so that's 3 different dams in Alabama. You got Prairie Bluff or Dale Town, settled in 1819. All right. This ferry lock and dam was constructed in 1963, largely submerged by the Applegate Reservoir. So those are key words: reservoir, obviously lakes, dams. All this means Naga City underwater, man. Fall City was already a ghost town by the time it was flooded in 1961. It's still a Naga City. Still a Naga City. I mean, you dig on this. You got the Henry and McKee Islands. We got some more on this one. This Guntersville, very important stuff here. Submerged beneath Lake Guntersville when the TVA built Guntersville Dam on the Tennessee River. So this is another big city right here, this Henry Island situation. Lawrence Cemetery submerged. These are your bodies on bodies and whatever's buried with it beneath West Lake. So underneath West or Wise Lake is an entire, cemetery of Naga bodies, right? Because they wouldn't do this to their own people. Yeah. Get the link. Let's go. Let's keep going. Historyofyesterday.com. Sunken Black History. Sunken ghost town in Alabama. You see things just popping up out the water, The Tulsa Race Massacre of 1921 has received much attention recently, but is far from the only ugly racist tradition in U.S. history. In addition to many other black communities that were destroyed by white supremacists, quite a few once thriving towns are now underwater. Right? We talked about Oscarville. Look at this. This is that Forsyth or Forsyth, Georgia. Yeah, all this water. These are towns. These are Naga cities under the water. Lake Lanier, Alabama. Here's that Benson flow. Lake Martin. Damn. Nagaville underneath that. They said it happened in the north too. Yeah, we're going to talk Central Park, right? We're going to talk New York City and these waterways there that they did the exact same thing. You see these little man-made rivers and reservoirs in New York? Old Naga Indian cities, man, right? Residents of York Hill, look up York Hill, man, fled to a nearby black community called Seneca Village, which was destroyed by New York City a few years later so that they could build Central Park over it. So Central Park is on top of a Negro city. York Hill underneath Central Park, underneath the water. There are over 100 drowned American towns, including Vanport, Oregon, Kennett, California, Baird, California, Elmore, California, Morley, California, Cibola. We're going to talk a little Cibola for the dismount. Templar, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Underwater. Sapernero, Colorado. Dillon, Jerusalem, Connecticut, or Connecticut. Old Fairfield, Indiana. Round Valley, New Jersey. Warren, Maryland. Dana, Massachusetts. Enfield, Massachusetts. Greenwich, Massachusetts. Prentice, Mississippi. Brown Station, New York, and even a town in New York called Old Never Sink, but they still sunk it. Many of these towns were destroyed for something called development-induced displacement, which forces people out of their homes and communities so that the government can build lakes, dams, and parks. Development-induced displacement. Hijack City. Forcing our Nagas out their homes, out their communities to build your lakes, dams, and parks, or are you destroying our community, destroying our history, making us rebuild again, taking everything that we have? This has affected both whites and blacks. Oh, stop it, man. But historically black. Oh, okay. The Naga, the Negro, the indigenous. Yeah, man. Let's go. So, look up different ghost cities, look up different ghost cities beneath the water. When you connect to these ghost cities beneath the water, it's going to connect you to, Nagaville that's buried beneath the water. All right? Just look up all this stuff, you know what I'm saying? Look up, definitely look at the Amber Ruffin situation, look at, more detail, man. I mean, all I can do is lead you to the water. But what's underneath the flood, what's underneath the water, I mean, that's for you to take the next step. This is an archive right here, archive.org. Let's go. What's underneath the water? I'll leave this one for you as well. You know what I mean? This got a whole lot of drop about the gold districts of California. You know what I'm saying? And, a lot of these gold mines and gold districts are underwater. So you can, go dig on some of this stuff, some of these things, some of these places. Displacer, El Dorado. I thought they were looking for El Dorado. Oh man, yeah, we just talking Cali, right? Yeah, land of milk and honey. Land of milk and honey. All this is gold. All this is gold. Man, they couldn't find gold like this nowhere else. My Naga, they couldn't find it nowhere else like this. Let's go. An entire Manhattan village owned by black people was destroyed to build Central Park. So again, underneath Central Park, just like ODB said, his people sold Manhattan. He's letting you know some of the history. His people sold Manhattan, right? The indigenous had to sell it, right? Or some chose to sell it, rather than, go down with it. You know what I mean? It's a great story you could read connecting to Central Park and Seneca Village. Began in 1825, eventually spanned from 82nd Street to 89th Street, along with what is now the western edge of Central Park. By the time it was finally raised in 1857, it had become a refuge for African Americans. Though most were nominally free, life was far from pleasant. The population of African Americans living in New York City tripled between abolition and complete emancipation, and the immigrants were derided in the press. Mordecai Noah, founder of the New York, what a name, huh? Mordecai Noah, founder of the New York Inquirer, was especially well known for his attacks on African Americans, fuming at one point that the free Negroes of the city are a nuance incomparably greater than 1,000,000 slaves. Oh man, free Nagas, are more of a nuance than 1,000,000 slaves. So they might as well keep you in slavery because you're less of a fuss. Most landowners at the time refused to sell to African Americans. Okay, well, this we do know. This is crazy right here. This is pretty much the area. I guess it's as big as we're going to get it, but, dig on it, This is what became Central Park. Man. Shit is deep. Naga still, checking in. Naga still checking in, you know what I'm saying? Remembering. They ain't forgot. My Nagas ain't forgot. My Nagas ain't forgot. Seneca Village had been largely forgotten by 1871. That year, the New York Herald reported that laborers creating a new entrance to the park at 85th Street and 8th Ave had discovered a coffin enclosing the body of a Negro. Decomposed beyond recognition, the discovery was a mystery. The paper reported because these lands were dug up 5 years ago when the trees were planted there, and no such coffins were there at that time. That's unlikely, as the site was the graveyard of the AME Zion Church. Naga history. You go to New York, you see these things. You go to LA, you see these things. And all of it's the same story. All this fancy Hollywood hills, all these hills, all this is Nagaville out here. Beverly Hills, and Melrose, and Manhattan, and Malibu. It's Nagaville. All this New York, Manhattan, Nagaville. All this Alabama, Forsyth, you know what I'm saying? All these fancy little homes now they got Nagaville. Another great article I leave for you, The Weekly Challenger, how America's first black middle-class village was destroyed to make way for Central Park. Now here it says Andrew Williams owned 3 blocks of land with a home valued at $4,000, which would be about $113,000 today, between 85th and 86th Street, 7th and 8th Avenues. An African-American man, a Negro. He lived in what would be the Upper West Side of Manhattan for more than 30 years, but now in 1855, he was being forced to move. The government had enacted eminent domain. They just said we have eminent domain. That's just some bully takeover shit, right? To take his land after supposedly offering him $3,500 for all his land. They offered him 3 racks, right? Williams was now being forced to take $2,335 and leave. Damn. Take 2 racks and get up out of here. Williams, along with close to 300 people, were forced off their property by New York so that the city could embark on one of its most recognizable attractions, the creation of Central Park. Seneca Village, New York, was an interracial community of property-owning African Americans and Irish and German immigrants that spanned from 82nd to 87th Street, along with what is known as the western edge of Central Park and a few blocks above the American Natural History Museum. Look at all that area, all that Nagaville. Most people don't associate African Americans in New York City before the 20th century, before the Great Migration, said Diana Wall, member of the Seneca Village Project and professor emeritus of City College of New York, that has been excavating the site in Central Park since 2011. We tend to think of African Americans as poor, but they were middle class, and education of the children was very important. A lot of them owned their own homes. We think of them on plantations in the South. Up here, they were living a different kind of life in New York City, where they were living a different kind of life in the South too, up until all that colonization. I mean, Nagas had land. They was balling out everywhere. Because this is Nagaville. Man. Opening and laying out a public place. Oh yeah, these are primary sources, my Naga. Make no mistake about it. Get the drop, you know. It's going to break down a lot more details into this takeover. This takeover. These homes, all this stuff was already here. This church, look how it's built by Negroes, right? So we see this stuff today, like, oh, a white man must have built it. The White House, you already know. This beautiful pottery and these beautiful designs, man, in Nagaville. Yeah. Underneath that park, foundations are still there. Like a Naga slipper right there, man. Yeah. We just talking about the Naga story. Let's go. And again, you know, look at, you know, just the images. You know, I just put in the Henry McKee Islands, Black Town flooded, Lake Guntersville. You know, some of these are some of the older images. Of this ghost lake whitewashing going on. And all the water you see, just imagine all of the Nagas in Nagaville that had to go. Everything underneath the water. Stuff is deep, right? Stuff is deep. This is out the Sand Mountain Reporter. says Native American exhibit to be displayed. Okay, I thought we were just talking Guntersville, right? Yeah, Guntersville related to the Henry and McKee Islands, another part of Nagaville, and they keep bringing in this Native American Indian story on you, right? This Cherokee story, right? Excavated from Guntersville's basin on loan from the University of Alabama Museums and the Tennessee Valley Authority will be on display at the Guntersville Museum in September. So this excavation was conducted in between 1938 and 1939. Of the 75 sites discovered in the area, 26 were excavated by a team of TVA archaeologists and local laborers. Archaeologists worked quickly to excavate these sites before the waters rose beyond the Guntersville Dam. So they got a bunch of artifacts recovered, identified, and subsequently housed with the University of Alabama's Artifact Repository located in Moundville, Alabama. I wonder how many mounds had to be found in that area for it to be called Moundville. Like how many Nagas got to exist in the area for it to be called Nagaville. That's how many mounds there are in this Alabama or Alabama. Because that AL is the same as the EL, my Naga. You're talking Halal HaWah, El Abba, El Abba, Ma. Love the Five Eyes Ma. Let's go, man. Let's go. We just popping off. Yeah. Artifacts on artifacts, bodies on bodies, and Kalelus. We just talking Cibola, right? Colorado, right? New Mexico, Four Corners, all one thing. Some of these will be on exhibit at the Guntersville Museum. Okay, yeah, we gotta check that museum out. William B. Allen, Archaeology Collections Manager, will curate the exhibit and will select the sampling of items recovered from Henry Island, McKee Island, Gunter's Landing Mound sites, pyramids. Most of the artifacts date from around 300 AD to the 18th century, man. Oh, they call them Native American artifacts. In the same area where Nagaville is underwater, right? Do we have to go to the 1828 Noah Webster Dictionary definition of an American as the copper-colored races found here by the European, the originals? Yeah, man. Let's go. So, clearly, there's a connection with these lakes, like Lake Lanier, Oscarville, inside of that Forsyth, Georgia situation. And yeah, you might not want to mess with it. Boats are exploding. It's all happening. So, dig more on this, man, because it's like a movie. It's like a movie. You know what I'm saying? When you start digging on these ghost lakes, they became ghost lakes. Let's go. Smithsonian Mag.com. How Oregon's second largest city vanished in a day. Oh, another city flooded. Another Naga city. 1948 flood washed away the WW2 World War II housing project Vanport, but its history still informs Portland's diversity. Okay. Whenever they say diversity, they mean they got some Nagas there, right? So you saw those beautiful homes in Alabama. You're looking at these beautiful homes right here in Oregon. City underwater. You can't even see them no more. But clearly they know what they were doing, right? Now This spot housed 40,000 residents, 40,000 Nagas. It says the mere utterance of Vanport was known to send shivers down the spines of well-bred Portlanders, not because of any ghost story or any calamitous disaster that would come later, but because of raw, unabashed racism. So what happened so racist here? Now they're going to tell the story that the dam was just rising and the waters were rising, and they didn't give these people enough of a heads up to leave. Or did they just flood these Nagas out? I mean, you tell me. You tell me. The consensus of opinion seems to be, however, that as long as 20,000 people can find no other place to go, Vanport will continue to operate whether Portland likes it or not. The 1947 Sunday Journal article explained it is almost a physical impossibility to throw 20,000 people in the street. Yeah, this is connected with the Housing Authority of Portland, right? They wanted to dismantle Vanport. Delta Park, right? So now this is Delta Park, tucked along the Columbia River in Portland's northern edge, is today a sprawling mix of public parks, natural preserves, and sports complexes. Spread across 85 acres, it houses 9 soccer fields, 7 softball fields, a football field, an arboretum, whatever that is, a golf course, Portland's International Raceway. Its spaces like this, open, green, and vibrant, that make Portland an attractive place to call home. Recently, it was named one of the most livable cities by the British magazine Monocle, the only U.S. city to make the list. In the park's northwest corner sits Forsyth Lake. Another lake. Once a haven for 100 species of birds and vibrant community swimming hole, now a polluted mess. Around the lake stands various signposts, the only physical reminder of Vanport City, but the intangible remnants of Vanport live on, a reminder of Portland's lack of diversity, both past and present. So all this is connected to this racist history. When Oregon was admitted to the United States in 1859, it was the only state whose state constitution explicitly forbade black people from living, working, or owning property within its borders. It's the only state that said Nagas cannot live here, work here, or own property anywhere here. Until 1926, it was illegal for black people to even move into the state. It's like a diversity fed a vicious cycle. Yeah. We're just talking about whitewashing. God. Yeah, you get the story. What happened to Vanport? Let's get it from here. The year 1948 had been a particularly wet year, even by Oregon standards. The snowy winter had left the mountain snow packed, bloated, and a warm, rainy May combined with the spring melt to raise the level of the Columbia River to dangerous heights. By May 25th, 1948, both the Columbia and the Willamette rivers reached 23 feet, 8 feet above flood stage. Officials in Vanport began patrolling the dikes that day, but did not issue any warnings to Vanport residents. No warning. Who does that sound like? Katrina, right? No warning, huh? The United States Army Corps of Engineers had assured the HAP that the dikes would hold and that Vanport would remain dry in the face of increasing rising waters. Still, the HAP safeguarded its files and equipment, removing them from the offices in Vanport. So they're removing their stuff out the way, but they're not warning the people at all, along with some 600 horses. On May 30th, Memorial Day, 1948, Vanport woke up to the flyer from the HAP that read, "Remember, dikes are safe at present." So they instead of warning them, they told them that everything's okay. Everything's safe. Everything's okay. No problem here, boss. Nothing to see here, boss. Everything's all right. We're talking about the Housing Authority of Portland, the HAP. Okay? New Negro migrants worry city. Oh, yeah. They didn't want no Nagas there. And, of course they weren't going to give you no warning, right? They're the most racist city. But do you think it was that? Or did they force this flood? The dikes did not hold. Oh, this is the warning, they said. Or here's the letter on that same day. This is the flyer that went out on the same day. Remember, dikes are safe at present. You will be warned if necessary. You will have time to leave. Don't get excited. This came out the same day at 4:17 p.m. A break came into the railroad dike that separated Vanport from Smith Lake along the city's northwest edge. Or did they just blow this shit up, right? What began as a small hole just 6 feet, initially rapidly expanding into water, was steadily streaming through a 500-foot gap in the dike. As water seeped into the city, homes were swept away in the flood. The foundationless walls unable to withstand the force of the water. The city was destroyed. At least 6,000 Nagas, you know what I'm saying, were displaced or destroyed. And this is, their census, when they talk census talk, black, some of these might have been, still claiming they're indigenous tribes, you know what I'm saying? So most of this could have been all Nagas, just some claiming that whatever title they're trying to put under black, you know what I'm saying? Let's go though. Yeah, man. Many casualties. Dozens of bodies being carried down the Columbia River. Days into June, no bodies had been recovered from the flooded town, stroking rumors that the HAP had quietly disposed of bodies in order to lessen the blame for its mishandling of the situation. One news story suggests that the HAP had arranged for at least 600 bodies to be stored in the terminal ice and cold storage facility downtown. Why would they store the bodies in the cold ice? Anything to do with organ harvesting? Why would they send bodies to Japan? Naga, there's some sick mofos. We just don't know. It is ugly. It is irresponsible. Yeah. General distrust of the public is all we talking about. Naga, we just talking Vanport, Oregon. Another flood, another Naga city. Let's go. Right quick, for the dismount, I'll show you a few more. Love again to the sister Amber Ruffin for pointing these out. All right, you got this Black Bone Creek, also known as Kennett. Now here comes this Native American thing again. The Wintoon War of 1850s, however, forced the remaining Native Americans out onto reservations, and first recorded mention of the Kennett site was in 1852. So they keep connecting these with natives, right? If they have to, it's America, right? But it's also connected directly to you. And here they are with their pictures, as if they came and built themselves a city. Or do they just come and take it right from the Naga? Oh, they already got a railroad. Oh, okay. We just learned that Benson had the first, Naga railroad, right? Now we're talking Kennett. That was also called, Black Bone. Black Bone, my Naga. Okay. Once a California boomtown, now a sunken city at the bottom of the lake. They just took it over, right? They just took all this over, right? Look like a pyramid back there, right here, man. Now over here, Kennett, though, man, they had what they said. They had that pure copper, man. They had some mem sauce going on, man. There were 2 very large copper mines in an area that contained extremely pure copper ore and brought great wealth. That's why they took it over. Did they build this stuff? Come on, man. They just turning stuff into saloons, right? They just use the infrastructure. We already see the Nagas were building this stuff. Who built this? Who built this house? Who built this? Who built this schoolhouse? You already saw how they did it in Benson, right? So this should not confuse you. This is Nagaville. They just came and moved in. All this is underwater now. Everything you're seeing is underwater. 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 Nagaville underwater. Look at this, man. Look at these beautiful homes. Whole community underwater. Here we go. Some are still peeking out, man. Talking about Backbone Creek. This is way up there near Sacramento. This Lake Shasta situation that popped off, another dam. Morley, another Naga city, underwater. Kennett, underwater. What's the other one they had? Baird, B-A-I-R-D, underwater. Come on, man. Come on, man. Nagaville, underwater. Shasta Dam site. These damn dams, man. These damn dams. These damn dams. Nagaville underwater. Let's go. I'll leave this for you. It's a book called Kennett, The Short, Colorful Life of a California Copper Town. And it's founding family. It's family. It's hijack family that come in and move in. It's hard to stomach this stuff, man. Now, what's this? What we got here? What we got here? More submerged Nagaville. Got the Kennett flow. Alabama flow. Colorado flow. Nagaville under the water. Oh yeah, we're talking gold rush in Colorado. Cibola, cities of gold. Connecticut. Weird that we say Connecticut where it just says connect. It just says connect. Connect. It, Connecticut. Connect. It clearly says connect, man. What's under these waters, though? More Nagaville. Let's go. What's under these waters? Huh? Mississippi Lake is Nagaville drowned and flooded You got the main flow. Flagstaff, Dead River. They literally call it Dead River, my Naga. So many Naga bodies under there. Massachusetts, look at this reservoir. This is the Quabbin Reservoir. Quabbin. Nagaville. Buried under the water. Flooded. Remnant. St. Thomas Lake Mead. Oh yeah, look at Lake Mead. Foundations are popping up all over the place, right? As certain areas dry up. Former sites of Olive City. Oh, this is Ashokan Reservoir. More Nagaville. They built this water. They brought the water in to cover up something. Pennsylvania. Allegheny Reservoir. Look them up. Nagaville's underneath there, my Naga. Utah. Uh-oh. Flaming George Reservoir. Oh, the National Recreation Area of the Green River. Damn dams. They're burying Nagaville under the water. Washington. Come on, man. Vintage Town disappeared under Lake Wanapum under the completion of Wanapum Dam. Damn dams. Oregon. Man, I'm just going to go quickly, man. But that was it right there. All right. Oregon, man. Applegate Reservoir. Backwaters of the John Day Dam. Inundated the town of Black. Cello is at the bottom. Cello is at the bottom of Lake Cello. The Applegate Reservoir covers the former community of Copper. The community is called Copper. Cello is at the bottom of Lake Cello. Celelo. Detroit Lake and Dorena Reservoir also consume the original towns, the Nagaville of the same name. Detroit Lake, Dorena, those are towns. Those are Naga towns. They just named the lake after them and the reservoir. Man. Hell's Canyon Reservoir, Klamath Junction is under Immigrant Lake, Klamath. It goes on, man. On in the water. Nagaville, submerged. Blackpass.org for the dismount. Yeah, we're talking Allensworth. Back in California. This is very interesting because sometimes, it's not all about being underwater. Sometimes they just, they'll find another way to run the Naga off the land, right? So this is all Nagaville, or what's left of it. First town in California established exclusively by African Americans. Nagaville. First town in California established exclusively by African Americans. Founded in 1908 by a group of men led by Colonel Allen Allensworth. Born a slave in Louisville, Kentucky, 1842, Allensworth became the highest ranking black officer in the U.S. Army when he retired in 1906. So the Naga bought a city. He bought some land. I'm going to lead this for you so you can get all the tribe. All the tribe. Once the school district was established in 1912, the Allensworth School, costing $5,000, was built with funds donated by local citizens. So they all chipped in. They had, a team of Nagas chipping in, man. We ain't doing nothing no different in terms of the flow of how we flowing together and what we doing and what we building and why we're building it. Except my Naga, we are crystal clear that we are KTC, MHOE, dripping in that MEM sauce. Yeah, man. So they were dealing with a lack of water supply, like they were being, drained out, droughted out by these hijacks. Allensworth's prosperity peaked in 1925, and after that date, the lack of irrigation water began to plague the town. Irrigation water was never delivered in sufficient supply as promised by the Pacific Farming Company. So that's a conspiracy by these PFC. Pacific Farming Company did not deliver as promised the sufficient supply of irrigation water. The land development firm that handled the original purchase, Pacific Farming Company. As a result, town leaders were engrossed in lengthy and expensive legal battles with companies expending scarce financial resources on a battle they could not win. So they lost all this money just trying to fight to get their water. By 1930, the town's population dropped, below 300 people, man. They just starved them out. Starved the Nagas out. Yet through the 1960s, the town continued to exist. Even if it did not thrive, then in 1966, the state of California discovered high levels of arsenic, and they just poisoning these Nagas. Most residents left, but 34 families remain. So they got hundreds more out by poisoning with arsenic. So they tried to save what they could through these commissions to get this Colonel Allensworth Historic Park on the central portion of the town. And that's what you see here. Everybody else is gone. They still destroyed the town and didn't even have to put it underwater. Yeah, we keep hearing about this Gunter's situation, or Gunnison County. Here's an interesting site. They're more asking us for help because they don't really know what Cibola is. They said, although we found mention of Cibola during our research, we have little information about it. So we might be able to help these people. Let's go. Given the context of how Cibola was mentioned, we believe that it was a community rather than a locale, or some type of landmark. We have done a cursory search, and if it was a community, we haven't been able to find any evidence that it still exists. Wow. Cibola. While we are confident that Cibola was located at Gunnison County, we don't know its exact or actual location within the county. So they don't know where Cibola is, right? They don't know where Cibola is. They say, man, if you can help us with Cibola, please contact us. Hey, can we help them, Drop Nation, man? Cibola. I don't know, man. I mean, if you're going to ask about Cibola, you're going to have to look at some maps. Cibola, sometimes spelled with a U or a V or a CIB, same thing. Cibola, or spelled like this, CIBOLA. They spelling it CEBOLLA. That's the hijack, right? One letter rule. Yeah, this is Forbidden Histories of America. You know what I'm saying? By Daniel Lowe. Page what? 36. You see this map of Cibola? This sept means seven, city, like seven cities, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 right here. This is that Lake Kapala that they're saying is a very ancient lake, okay? Now, if you look at some of the maps done by the old land explorers, even the 1700s, it is quite obvious that they were lacking in this seeming well-guarded secret. So we have a guarded secret, my Naga, of the land of Kalelus or Cibola. Cibola. And when you talk Kalalus, since we see that these are interchangeable, this is the land of Kalalus or Cibola. Right, we scroll down a little bit. Oh, wait. Let me get a couple of these maps. Okay. Here it is again, showing that lake up close. Chief Khantan. It's that same Lake Kapala. All right. Granada is also Pomegranata or Remani, Cibola. This is that lake, right? Count the cities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like 7 cities. Sept means 7. Oh boy. They're calling it a 33-million-year-old lake. That's on this map here. That's also popping up on this geological flow today. So the cities could be around it. Huh? Hush. Too much for YouTube. But they just said Cibola or Kalalus. Here's more Cibola on this map. Cevola. It's also Cibola or CE. How they say here? Cebolla. So this is a Cevola. Oh, this is the same Cibola. And we're reading this Black Stephen and Coronado expeditions, talking about this Marco Denise Friar Marcos drop. But right now we're just talking about the guarded secret land of Kalalus or Cibola. And what does Kalalus mean? Let's get it right here. In the article, it tells of Kalalus meaning promised land. So if it's Cibola or Kalalus, it's the same thing. It's promised land. Or Cali, right? We're talking all this buried land in California, right? Which is the land of America. So Kalalus is the promised land or the land of America, man. Oh, yeah. I mean, you got all that drop. Man. Yeah. You got all that drop. Kalalus or Cibola, right? Yeah. That's what it said, right? So if Kalalus means promised land, and if Cibola or Shambhala, if Cibola means Kalalus and Kalalus means promised land, Naga, then a little deductive reasoning, we can reason that since the land of Kalalus is Cibola, when we talk Cibola, we're talking promised land or land of America, right? That's what we just got. They need help with Cibola. Hey, y'all going to help yourselves. A couple more links I'll leave for you as we get out of here. Ghost towns emerge from the depths of Lake Mead, right? So Hoover Dam, that's a huge one, right? How many Naga Ville cities were flooded by Hoover Dam? I'll leave this link for y'all, man. But this is savage, right? This is savagery. This whole thing on the ghost of Lake Mead. And yeah. Lake Mead from Boulder Beach, Nevada. Lake Mead National Recreational Area. Oh, they do all this swimming, boats, hiking and camping and fishing above Hoover Dam near Boulder City. Look at this reservoir now, right? Man-made reservoir. This is the largest man-made reservoir in the United States. My Naga is a play. Is it play? The largest man-made reservoir must be covering the largest Naga city in Nagaville. Oh, then they're going to say, oh, well, the original inhabitants of this area were basket makers. Man, Hijack City. Woo! Woo! Y'all charging the Naga up. You know how high-tech Nagas are. You're going to, oh, they were basket weaving pueblos in the same area that's underneath Lake Mead. So not only is there a lost city of the Pueblo Grande, but also a whole Nagaville from hundreds of years after that. Yeah. Nagaville is underwater. Look at this, man. Lost cities underwater. They're finding artifacts, putting it in the Lost City Museum and National Park Service by the National Park Service. Pueblo Grande, Nevada. You got the link. Let's go. For the dismount, man, because they be thinking this is play. Most people have no idea these underwater cities in New Mexico even exist. Now we're talking New Mexico. We talk Colorado. We're talking Georgia. We're talking Alabama. We talk New York City with York Hill and Seneca Village. We talk Lake Martin. We talk Henry and McKee Islands. We talk Vanport, Oregon. We talk Kennett, California. Elmore and Morley. We talk Cibola, Colorado. Now we're talking New Mexico. More Nagaville under the water to create a reservoir. About 85 structures belonging to the towns of Los Arboles and Rosa disappeared underwater. 85 structures belonging to the towns have disappeared underwater. Look at this, man. Look at this. Look at this, man. The dam was built in 1958 and 1962. The water is used for the Navajo Indian Irrigation Project, man. Hijack City, Hijack City, Hijack City. What about Connecticut? You know, there's a town called Jerusalem in Connecticut and a graveyard under Candlewood Lake. So Jerusalem, Connecticut is now Candlewood Lake. Buried Naga cities. Buried Nagaville. Candlewood Lake, the state's largest lake, because it got the largest Naga cities underneath. Created in the 1920s by Connecticut Light and Power as a reservoir. Everybody using that same word. It's just a reservoir to produce electricity. No, it's to hide Nagaville. It's just to hide Nagaville. Now they look at these guys, man. Look at these guys. So now when you go in Massachusetts, see them doing them boats across Cambridge and all that. Just imagine what's underneath there. Nagaville. Nagaville. More and more Nagaville. Yeah, man. They keep bringing up this Iola, Colorado. It's an extinct town. Back in the same county, Gunnison County. The community was inundated and destroyed by the creation of Blue Mesa Reservoir. The name Iola reportedly was selected simply on account of being a pleasant name. That's it. That's all they got for us. That's it. Or is Iola a name of, you know, a beautiful sister that took care of a whole village, a whole tribe? I mean, who was Iola? Oh, it's The name Iola reportedly was selected simply on account of it being a pleasant name. They don't even know. They don't even want to tell you who this is. But I guarantee it's not no random selection. How do they know if it's an extinct town where the name Iola came from? Oh, it's just a pleasant name. That's why. Oh, man. That's another beautiful recon right there that we got to do on Iola. Love to the sister. Yeah. It's a hard, some hard drop to stomach, man. But we got to remember Iola, because underneath these waters is Nagaville. Underneath these waters, Iola still exists. Iola, Colorado was once a thriving community filled with voices and activity commonly found in small towns around the state. Its remains are protected within the Curacanti National Recreation Area. Same thing to do with our dragons, right? Now they're dragon preserves. And now our areas are national recreation areas. Hey, man, we're going to remember Iola. That's what we doing around here, man. A couple more for the dismount. This is out the LA Times. And again, I'm just expanding on the recon by the sister Amber Ruffin. Man flooded the town of Iola. This ain't no play, all right? Talking about Colorado. Now nature is bringing back its ghost. Oh, you don't want to remember the sister? Oh, she gonna remember you. Because she popping up. She coming right out the ground bone. Right out the ground bone. They's talking about making a Blue Mesa Reservoir. Man, what about Iola? What about Iola? What about the Aqua? The vast shimmering lake, the largest in everything's the largest when it comes to our cities, right? It's always the largest lake, largest reservoir covering up Nagaville. Largest in Colorado, was a recreational paradise for many and a source of power and water. Oh, here come that paradise talk. Here we go. Yeah, we talking old world. Talking old world talk. Go dig on it, man, because Iola is re-emerged. Then Blue Mesa began drying up in Colorado's persisting drought, dropping more than 80 feet. Here comes Iola. That is what's left of it. Anything that could be sold or moved had been burned so it wouldn't float to the surface. So that's why they burned it? Or did they just burn it the fuck down? Some of the residents described the incessant blasting of rock walls, flying debris, and burning that ushered in the inundation. Oh, I think they had a good time burning shit up, don't you? Don't you? They had a good time burning your stuff up. But here comes Iola. Yeah. That's where the flagpole used to be. Oh, okay. Here comes Iola. Last one right here. This is from sfgate.com, and this is just a nice, dismount compilation of underwater towns in Northern California. All right, you got Mormon Island. I can't make this stuff up, man. All right, Mormon Island. All right. Yeah. What's underneath this water? Nagaville. Let's go. We got Red Bank, another gold rush town located under Folsom Lake, site of a gold mine. Come on, man. Hijack City. You got Whiskey Town. And they just naming this stuff. They don't know the names of this stuff, man. Old gold rush camps. So all these are gold rush areas, like cities of gold, right? Gold rush areas that they flooded after they got enough gold. Maybe they didn't want to share the gold. Maybe they just flooded the gold, right? Flooded the copper, like they wanted to keep it to themselves. Nah, we ain't gonna let them have it. Just flood it out. At least we know it's in there. Is that where they're hiding the gold? In these lakes? Lexington and Alma? Both towns were submerged after the construction of the Lexington Reservoir in 1952. More Nagaville, more Naga cities. And you dig on these, you dig on these Monticello, under Lake Berry, Essa, and Napa County. Another dam. Another city underwater. Comanche Poverty Bar. All three of these gold rush towns submerged by Lake Comanche after the creation of the Comanche Dam. Old mining town lies underneath New Melones Lake in Calvers County. The lake was formed in 1982 and is the fourth largest man-made lake in California. Only lakes Oroville, Shasta, and Trinity are larger. Must be a nice big city under here. We talked about Kennett, Bard, Copper City, Elmar, Eder, Morley, Pitt, and Winthrop. All these are towns underneath Lake Shasta. Nagaville, Shasta Dam in 1935. I'll get this one for the dismount here, man. This is Millertown, man. First county seat of Fresno County before it was flooded in 1942 after the completion of the Forsyth Dam. Fresno. Yeah, my Naga. Not this time. For Joy World, not this time. We need a wall of protection. Blue, purple, red, white linen, gold thread. Exodus 26 will let us know. Ahab to our 500 code keepers for your Baruch. Everything you're able to do, everything you've been doing has the deepest, true gratitude and appreciation. Halal HaWah. I know you're doing this for the Creator, not just us, We're all doing this to see what we can do, to build confidence in each other, and to build a fence for Joy World. Nagaville's underwater, my Naga. Now it's time to see clearly. For Joy World, for Nagaville, keep the water flowing and keep the fire burning. Shalom.